guys, it's Brendan, the artist formerly known as Sephel. Oof, is that too soon? Feels too soon. Anyway, my new buddy Hester's ready to get these wayward souls on up to Blingdenstone, but before we jump in, I've got a couple of quick announcements to prattle through, so bear with me. First off, if you haven't already, don't forget to submit your questions for our next bonus action. We'll be going over the party's time in Gracklestug, so you've got loads of content to choose from. You got Thembershout, you got the Whirlstone Tunnels, Bupido, the tragic demise of Lara, and the introduction of our beloved Scylla. You really can't ask a wrong question, but what you can do wrong is miss the cutoff date. You have until the end of the month, so as of this episode dropping, you got a little over a week. So make sure to collect your juiciest questions and send them on over to the madness table at gmail.com. Guys, we've got more and more people joining us on our Discord server, so if you're not there yet, I highly recommend it. We have a great time, we post memes, we have discussions, we love it, and we love your company. But if Discord's not your thing, you can find all our other socials, including our TikTok and our coffee page, by going to linktree/the madness table. That's linktr.ee/the madness table. Lastly, if you've stuck with us this long and are enjoying what we're throwing out there for you, or if you're not, it would mean the world if you left a rating and a review. It lets us know how we're doing, and it brings in more fun-loving folks like you guys, so there's no downside. But I've talked your ears off long enough. Let's get to what you really came here for. Will, get your travel tracks ready because it's time for episode 81, Blingdenstone.
So you guys have begun kind of cleaning things up here in this camp after Scylla had discovered not too far away Dagon kind of sitting upon this deep trench temple within wherein a Naute, this kind of large humanoid creature that's Scylla has described as kind of like an old elder Triton, was manacled. She tried to free him, didn't work out, came rushing back as this explosion of rock and water burst her forward during her escape, while you two were accosted by these deep scions that were once the deep gnomes on this kind of mining expedition to explore what could be out here in this area. And so you've started putting the suit pieces into your bag of holding. What do you guys want to do? You especially Starcaller and Scylla, you haven't had a long rest. You've had a rough day and a half, basically.
Yes, now that we have hopefully extinguishes the last approaching demonic threats, perhaps we could actually get that rest we were talking about.
Yes, I am quite honestly exhausted.
I think I'll join you this time. I'm a little bit beat up myself. And I have a lot of things to figure out on what to tell the Diggermatics when we get back.
So, how far is the journey to Blingdenstone?
Well, for y'all, if you didn't know, how to traverse and got caught up in all of the rough terrain and tunnels, it would take you about 5 days. I can get you there in about 3.
Very good. Very good. Well, as soon as we are rested, we will depart.
Is there a way that we can do this efficiently where someone's always keeping watch?
Hester can definitely take the first watch. I mean, he's pretty beat up, but all things considered, he has the most available to him.
Okay.
So he would offer, especially because it hasn't been so long for him since he's taken a rest. So he would take the first few hours.
I can pop up for a second. I'm not bad for hit points. I'm just spent on resources.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we're all kind of in the same boat then, because Scylla's basically found what an hour keeping watch would be fine for everything for me to reset pretty much, except for hit points. So But I think we should definitely keep a watch the entire time and make sure everybody gets a long rest. So this might be a while.
Agreed. Yeah.
Okay. So even if it takes you a little bit of extra time, you're all going to huddle up in the cavern where, the expedition had kind of set out into the water, or do you think you're going to stick out in the ravine?
Let's stay in the cavern. I like that sheltered area, and we at least, hopefully, we'll be able to see something coming.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay. So you all kind of settle in for the night here and taking your different watches, and I imagine you guys are a little spooked, especially considering everything you've been through. Hester, what are you doing as you take first watch as these two strangers that you've shared these few harrowing moments with, and they've spoken of this creature Dagon and whatnot? What's going through his head?
Hester is very sullen and trying to process next steps, because his whole deal of coming and trying to find Corton was to potentially bring them back, or at least bring back information to gain favor with the Diggermatics. With these couple developments, him reporting back has definitely gotten a little bit more complicated, and he doesn't exactly know what he stands to gain from this. So I think he's just very deep in thought about what the last few minutes, really, the last day at least, is going to mean for him and his people going forward.
Okay. Eventually your watch comes to pass, and Starcaller, you set yourself up for watch. What's going through your head, especially after everything that's happened in the last 48 hours?
Yeah, I feel like Starcaller would set Dawn's Edge up with a good vantage point. He'll tinker of no avail at his Gauss pistol, and he will try to let go of that shard or rapier and just not be able to. And he'll sigh and keep watching.
Okay. That was for 80 hours, if I remember correctly. So you're getting close to the end here.
Almost there.
And eventually your time passes, and Scylla, you take your time for a watch. What's going through Scylla's head?
Yeah, Scylla, she is... I mean, the fact that the Naute exist and are alive is mind-blowing. And I think that everything that happened in what was essentially a very short amount of time, running into Dagon, running the Naute, and then the explosion, and then finding this sword, which is really a relic of her ancient people. I think she's very honored to wield it.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's just thinking through all of these different things. And then also she's gonna utilize the chains. So she's going to have the Caliburn, which is the new weapon, as her main weapon, and then she's going to set up the short sword and her trident on the chains, the two.
Okay, so you're gonna link. So, what I might have failed to describe on these chains that you have, the two things that you connect, they are then paired to each other. They're not automatically paired to each other and you. So if you linked the short sword and the trident, they would be linked to each other.
Yeah, then it would be the short sword.
Okay, so you're connecting one to the great sword in yourself and one to the short sword in yourself.
Well, no, I'm sorry. The great sword is not going to be connected to a chain.
Okay, all right.
Because I think the value is if I can throw it, and I cannot throw the great sword.
Yeah. Okay. So you spend this time, you kind of come to understand what these chains can do. I can picture you kind of experimenting with them. You throw the short sword and it sails off, and then as you kind of like jerk back your hand, the chain rematerializes and just comes back to your hand. And do you do anything with this newfound powerful sword that was once of huge size? Do you take any time with it, or is it more of like reverent awe of kind of leaving it there?
I think that this is her, like, she does her like typical like stretching, end of the day, whatever, but then she's also going to take some time and see if she can figure out how this cold power is coming out of the sword. And so she's like doing different attacks with it, like practicing with it, essentially she's trying to understand it more, and especially trying to get like a sense of whatever is symbols within it or whatever she's reading from it.
Gotcha. So as you're like practicing this drilling, you feel these kind of moments within certain actions and what you hope to make it do, because you can feel this energy thrum, and you see that inset within the hilt is this large kind of frosty covered diamond. And as you're swinging it, at one point you see it like flash, and the blade just coalesces all this small shards of ice. And as you swing it a couple times and you like make contact with the ground for a brief moment, as you kind of like come to a stop, you see that ice just burst off of it. And then in another moment, you're swinging it around and you sink the blade in kind of this kneeling pose, and then just with this explosion of tinkling ice emanates outwards, and you realize that whatever magics it has comes from this diamond set within it, and that's what kind of draws forth these icy powers. But the blade itself is quite powerful, and it's verging on because of its size, verging on almost too large to handle. It's almost unwieldy, but thankfully you have enough base strength to be able to swing it around pretty normally. But its size and its shape also lends it to almost be used lance-like, for great thrusting kind of attacks, or these kind of sweeping moves around you. So it's a pretty versatile weapon.
Okay.
And eventually you all manage to get enough sleep that you can all mark off a long rest on your character sheets.
Right.
Well done. XP has already been added, if you didn't already notice. Well done. And so what's the beginning of your day here? You're gonna march off with Hester, or what are you guys thinking?
Yes.
Before we go, I do want to scavenge the camp, make sure there's nothing that we have left behind, or the gnomish party left behind, rather.
Yeah,
Okay.
Hester would be making sure of that as well.
All right, you guys can make investigation checks.
Well, maybe I'll just help Hester with that.
I don't know, what's your invest bone?
Mine's not
-2.
bad.
Oh my.
Whoa.
I told you I'm not good at standardized testing.
What's yours, Hester?
+3.
Mine's a +4.
Ooh.
All right. Well, how about this? I will give... No, you know what? Hester is going to be looking for something very specific. I think he's going to look for personal belongings of the gnomes to bring back to their families.
Mm-hmm.
So I will take...
That's fair, because I think Scylla's looking for something very different, which is she's looking for more Naute relics.
So with the advantage granted by Starcaller, that's a 15.
Okay. Yeah, I got 14.
You find 2 sets of grappling hooks and 50 feet of hempen rope. You see in their backpacks are 10 days worth of rations combined. You find 2 small rubies worth some money. And you find what look like a couple of diaries, Hester. from different members of this expedition that you think you could bring back. You see some entries talking about, a missus or a mother or a sister, a brother, father, people back home, in which some of these members are kind of writing these notes.
Okay.
But that is all you find here, other than a pair of shovels. You find some pickaxes, kind of standard mining gear. You find 20 pythons, and that's it. That is all.
That's all you get.
Isn't it enough? God.
No.
Nothing's ever enough, William.
It will never be enough.
Okay. Hester, I should like for us to get on the road. Are you up to travel?
Yeah, I, well and ready enough. Are y'all good to climb back up, to where the cavern leads out, or do we need to find a more conventional way? I'm fine climbing, but, I don't know what y'all capabilities are.
I mean, I'm like athletic enough that I think I could do it, but I also don't know, like,
I don't have equipment for that. Like, is like, how serious is this climbing, Hester? Do we need a climbing pack for this, or just a scramble?
No, I believe it would be the same way you came down. It's not like we're not going straight up the wall.
Oh, then we'll be just fine then. Absolutely.
No, yeah, no, well, we're good. We're good.
No, totally fine. All right then. Well, let's carry on.
Okay.
And
So
Hester will start leading them.
beautiful. You make your way back out into the base of this ravine, and you start making your way back up the ropes and the pathways that these previous miner group had come through. And you eventually, after a couple of hours, because it takes you far longer than it did to get back down, to get down, you find yourselves back up towards that large bridge chasm where Sephel had fallen and almost all of you had fallen. And Hester, I imagine, do the others, like, do you look back at the chasm, or are you just like, oh, hell no, and move on?
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
Long look.
Is this where your friend fell?
Yes, it is. And Arm is kind of like looking out over the bridge. I assume there's still like a now like slightly decaying Minotaur corpse up there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like strewn with blood. This is where it happened. Yes.
That's bad business to fight 2 Minotaur on a place like this.
Well, it was a well-laid trap. Yes, I cannot deny them that. They've picked their ground well.
All right, well, let's keep boot to dirt, as they say.
I don't think people say that.
My people say that.
Oh, sorry.
And if you want to make it to Blingdenstone alive, you're going to let me say it.
Fair enough.
Okay. And so you follow Hester into the tunnels. Hester, can you make me a survival check?
Yes, I can. At advantage, because favored terrain.
Shut up.
Get him, Will.
God forbid I be good at things.
I will not stand for it.
Dirty 20, you jerk.
Okay, it's fine. You make your way.
Sorry, I'll just go jump off the bridge and come back with another character next
You know what?
week,
That
I
sounds
guess.
great.
Yeah, I bet you'd like that.
Yeah, just not a ranger or a wizard, thanks. No, you start making your way pretty quickly, and you guys, Starcaller and Scylla, are probably amazed at the swiftness that you're moving through these tunnels, where before you were making decent progress, but now, you're finding all these ways of slipping through these tight crevices, finding handholds where you need to climb over things that you just didn't really notice before. And you see how it's a mixture of like natural talent and Hester's like convenient size that makes him so quick in moving through these tunnels, but it shows that he has quite a bit of knowledge here. And eventually, Hester, you know that one of the quickest ways to make it back to the city is by finding one of the caravan tunnels, one that's used to trade with those coming from the surface.
Yep.
And eventually, after about a day of travel, you guys find yourselves getting into this larger opening into a kind of more chiseled and worked tunnel that seems fairly clean. There's actually organized fungi that is like growing on the walls, kind of resembling torches and illuminating this space. And it's got to be quite a bit of a shock because you haven't seen something like this since you were close to the Kingdom of Ember and even Gracklestug. But it's a little different in its designs, a little bit smaller, but still large enough in size that you guys as medium creatures can traverse through it quite well. And so at the end of this first day, you all have a choice. You can continue to push on, taking some levels of exhaustion, or choosing to rest. What would you guys like to do?
I think as long as there's a safe spot, we rest as normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
All right. Hester, can you make me another survival check?
Sure. Okay. 13.
Okay. You managed to find a pocket carved into the side of this well-traveled tunnel, and you know that this is essentially a blind that has been set up for travelers in caravans to kind of take shelter should they need to while traversing in these tunnels. Because even though you guys, the Deep Known that is, have worked it and constantly use it, you never know who you're going to meet or come through, the natural predators or unsavory bandits and whatnot. And so you guys all settle in there for the night. Who wants to take up first watch? If you want to do watches.
I feel like Scylla will, because I can get I'm pretty good after a short rest, so at the beginning of the watch I would be feeling pretty good.
Okay. Go ahead and make me a perception check.
13.
All right. You make it through your rest and you don't notice anything making its way near, around, or towards you guys. And this is probably the first time in a while, especially considering all your other travels, that you're like, wow, this is odd, but also nerve-wracking.
Mm-hmm.
All right, who's taking second watch?
I'll take up second.
Okay, make me a perception check, please.
Okay. 16.
Okay. You manage to get through your watch, not noticing anything. And Starcaller, would you go ahead and roll me a perception check for your watch?
But of course. Natural 20 for a 24.
Nice. You also don't manage to notice anything out of the ordinary as you all get another long rest within you. What would you guys like to do? Head back on the path, keep trucking it, or are you guys doing anything in the meantime?
Yeah.
No, I think Hester continues to lead, and he's like, as they get closer and closer to Blingdenstone, he's like pointing out spots of the trade route, areas that he's stayed or has stories from traders that he's traveled with and traders that live in Blingdenstone that, came down some of these routes, just sort of blabbering a little bit and giving some information of where they're going. So I guess I don't remember if y'all told me at all, but what is it you're hoping to gain from visiting Blingdenstone?
Well, I suppose there are a couple things. One, we have been seeking allies. So please do not allow me to speak for you, but we have all been impacted in various ways by the rise of the demon lords here in the underdark, and we wish to fight back and make safe harbors. And though Blingdenstone has fallen on hard times, we are hoping still to find allies there, and hopefully also knowledge of what has been happening and perhaps why, and if possible, the way towards the surface, that we might gather yet more allies.
That is that's a tall order. Not saying it's nothing. I mean, if all things go well when we return and we garner the favor I'm hoping we do, perhaps we could get you an audience with the Diggermatics. They're the diarchy of sorts. They've been a little tied up recently, rebuilding the city and all, but they might be able to help. They certainly be open to, trade routes and allies. I think they could definitely use it in these times.
You say they are rebuilding the city.
Yes. I mean, Blingdenstone's been largely abandoned up until about the last decade. So, bringing it back to its former glory, getting trade restarted, getting the proper resources in has been a all hands on deck, a real struggle. That's why it was such a big deal when one of our mining excursions went missing, especially with expensive equipment. Resources and labor are everything to us right now.
You say us. Do you intend to stay in Blingdenstone?
I guess I don't know. Us is a little bit more complicated for me, I guess. I would like to. I very much would like to keep Blingdenstone my home and help the people there as much as I can, but...
It is just that I cannot help but notice that you are adept at traveling through the Underdark, and as such, would be a strong ally in the fight against the many demon lords which plague this place.
I appreciate you saying that. That is quite a lot to consider.
It is okay to be scared.
Oh, I'm downright terrified. I'm not. I don't have pride by any means.
That means you understand the odds at which we are facing.
It
is something to consider.
With all due respect, I'm certainly not discounting the ability of our people to stand up for those that need it and fight when need be. But us deep gnomes have seen a lot of war and lost a lot of homes. And I think the priority for my people at the very least is to establish a home again before we put that at risk.
It may be too late, as someone who has lost their home recently.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but I very much hope you are wrong. And he just gets kind of quiet at the thought of that and continues on.
Another day passes as you continue on through these tunnels, and you all bed down for the night and thankfully make it through another long rest, and you begin your third day. Can you make me a survival check there, Hester?
Okay, that's way better. 21.
Okay. Yeah, you know that you are getting much closer to the city now. More and more carvings and kind of reliefs are appearing. And as you guys are getting towards the end of the last day, you see that you are beginning to pass some other tunnels. And at one point, you actually pass through some wider areas and you see what looks like a mine entrance. And outside of it, you see that there are these 4 rock-like creatures and about a dozen or so other deep gnomes who are standing there holding pickaxes and mattocks, and they're just staring at you all as you begin to walk by. And Hester, you know that this is the Pickshine mine, the main source of mining and whatnot done outside of Blingdenstone itself.
Yeah. And are these Galabdur that they have helping them?
They are indeed, yes. Do you continue on or do you stop in?
We should tell them about what happened. Did I get any personal effects from Corton?
One of the journals / diaries, one of them that you found is Corton's.
Okay. And would I know... So I know the mine is run by the Pickshine family as a whole. How, like, extensive is that family? Are we talking, like, a handful of people, or are we talking, like, a whole clan? Like...
It is a pretty large family, verging on to kind of clan-like. You know that it is kind of headed by Kazook Pickshine.
Okay.
Who is a well-known alchemist and ore specialist within the city.
And
so they don't necessarily stick out at the mine.
Sure. What would their relationship be to Corton? Is it like direct family, or are they sort of distant familial relations?
You would know from your kind of dealings is that Corton was supposedly the grandson of Kazook.
Okay. All right. I am going to stop the group. If you don't mind, I would like to make a quick pit stop here.
I do not mind.
Okay.
Of course.
I'm going to try to find Kazook. Y'all can come with, obviously. Just keep a close hold of your belongings. Trade caravans and the like on the outskirts have been a little bit grabby lately. And just mind your manners.
Scylla draws her weapon.
Manners. These are very hard-working folk, and they don't take too kindly to strangers. They've seen a lot of trouble. So yeah, Hester will walk towards the mine entrance and try to locate Kazook.
Okay. You approach, and the 4 Galabdur just kind of like stretch themselves out a little bit more, looking more imposing. And one of the workers sees you approaching and kind of walks forward, and he's like, "What do you need, kid?"
Beg your pardon. I was looking to speak with Kazook. I managed to gain some information about his grandson's excursion.
You know what happened to Corton?
Unfortunately, I know quite a lot about what happened to Corton.
Oh, damn. Well, Kazook doesn't really hang out here at the mines. You'll probably find him in the Trader's Grotto in the city. Probably by a stall, though he's been at home some days, so I hear. I don't really know, but that's probably where he's at. He's at his stall.
They're not keeping too tight a ship on the grotto right now?
The usual. Not all of us get in there, but hopefully we'll get rid of those damn rats, and we'll make a little bit more room for us in the city.
Oh. Thank you for your information.
Yeah, no problem, kid. Can you tell me what happened to Corton?
Well, none of them made it.
Oh, shit.
I don't know the extent, the terrible things that must have gone through, so I won't speak on that of which I am ignorant, but we found Corton, and there wasn't much left of him.
All right, well, thanks. Good luck in there.
And Hester will begrudgingly walk back with the group towards, I guess, the direction of the Trader's Grotto.
Okay. Well, you know that you've got to first kind of vet yourself and the others to get through the main gates of Blingdenstone.
Yep.
And as you guys continue in, you eventually come to this very large stone staircase leading up a ways until you reach here as we look to the new map, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you see that in front of you is this main gate, which are these heavy stone doors that are reinforced with what you see is this combination of steel or possibly adamantine. And you don't see anybody manning them, but you see from what look like almost arrow slits on either side. You see some deep gnome kind of peeking out, and they're like, What's your business? Who are you? State your names.
My name is Hester Stonetooth. Come here with allies picked up in the tunnels. I am carrying updates on the Pickshine expedition. These individuals helped me to gain that information, and wish to gain their own admittance into Blingdenstone.
Your names, the two of you.
I'm Artomis Starcaller.
I am Drusilla.
Where are you from?
I am an envoy of the Kingdom of Ember, sent to see if there was any common cause between our peoples.
Kingdom of Amber. And then you see like this little tiny like quarter door just slam over the. And you just, We've never heard of the Kingdom of Ember. What is that?
It's a collective of mostly kobolds and some other folk. Quite some distance from here. They are very kind enough to take me in when I needed help, and now I act as envoy, as we are facing a demonic threat that I know has threatened many people here in the Underdark.
Hang on.
Demonic threat? What are you talking about? Go on. This is insane. What are you... we should probably talk to...
Maybe Ixnay on the Amonic Threat Day.
All right.
People need to know.
You, Drusilla. Where you from?
I'm from the city of Coral at the bottom of the deep lake.
What the?
And you cool. What? Jimmy. You ever hear about the cool?
Oh, they're talking
No.
to Jimmy. God, I hate when Jimmy's working the gate.
What are you looking at me for? I don't know.
He's such a hard ass. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Oh
It's an Amonic day.
I heard about it.
It's a dead language. Don't worry about it.
Opens up. All right, the far-fetched, but you do carry information about missing caravan. So, hey, Jimmy. And then it opens up a moment later, and he throws out like 3 sacks, and he's like, "Put them on your heads."
Are you in earnest?
Of course. Wait a minute. Who the hell's Ernest? How do you know this?
Ernest! Ernest! You know these motherfuckers? No!
What would
Ernest!
the purpose?
Ernest!
They're very protective. They're very distrusting. Just give it 48 hours. Don't kill anybody. You'll be fine.
You see, he like keeps like peeking through, and he's like, "Put the bags on your head. Do it."
Artemis will do it. As he does so, he puts like just like a casual hand on his belt, just like taps on Dawn's edge, and says in his mind, "Please keep an eye out."
Of course. No, absolutely. There is someone here invisibly checking on us.
Good to know.
I do not feel comfortable with a bag on my head.
Well, you ain't getting to see without it on.
Artemis already has a bag on his head. It's quite comfortable.
See, this envoy gets it. Miss Truth, Scylla. Put the bag on your head. Do it.
It reminds me of a friend.
Oh no.
Oh, how the turntables.
Who's the other friend? Are they here with you?
No.
All right, then don't worry about it. Put the bag on your head. Put it on.
Scylla will do so grudgingly.
Okay.
Hester throws the bag over his head, and as they're marched past the gate, he just like mutters, "Tell Jimmy I know what his mother did with all the tap fingers the other night."
You just hear this yelling, and then you actually all like hear another set of footsteps from behind you as you start going in, and that guy who was kind of talking to you through the arrow like slot hole is like, Carl, yeah, is there anybody else? No, it's just him. All right, good. Now watch your steps. You step out of line, you're gonna die. That's the rules. Hear them? Yes.
Yeah, sure.
I cannot step out of line if I cannot see where I'm going.
Exactly. Good. Keep going. And you all start making your way through this unknown part of the city. You find yourselves making all sorts of weird, curvy turns, lefts, rights, up, down. You feel yourself being taken up an elevator shaft or something because you feel yourselves kind of being moved up shakily at some point. And then eventually you hear more and more of these kind of whispers. And at one point you hear what sounds like more commotion and people talking. It sounds like you're in some kind of bazaar potentially. And eventually you are all brought into this... You guys are brought up onto this kind of larger kind of gathering area, and you see that there are 24 or so of these I can't even say it, like Surfneblin, the deep gnomes, and they occupy this well-lit cavern. You see some are moving about briskly with messenger pouches in hand, while others are huddled around several stone tables covered in maps and other papers, talking in hushed, serious tones. And the back of the room is dominated by this dais carved from the rock of the cavern, atop which rest 2 stone desks that face each other. And 2 deep gnomes, 1 male and 1 female, sit behind the desks, conferring with advisors and each other. And as you are all unhooded, their attention turns to you. And that gentleman that was talking to you at the gate goes, I apologize, Mr. and Mrs. Digomatic. Queen, yeah, tips like his hat. He's like, these 3 were at the gate. This one, and he points out Hester, had claims to have information on the lost mining expedition. And the woman kind of waves her hand and goes, "Thank you, that will be all. Jeremiah, you can go." And he bows and takes the hoods and leaves. And here the three of you stand, surrounded by these deep gnome and these two at these desks, and they have turned towards you guys. So, who are you? What is your tale? Why are you here?
May I remove the hood now?
The hood's off, dear. You can open your eyes.
Oh shit.
Open your eyes. It's safe. No one here will harm you for the moment, so long as you prove trustworthy.
Is this Senny speaking?
It is, yes.
Madam Diggermatic, I must start by saying it is my humble honor to be allowed audience to speak with you and give the information that I do have. My name is Hester Stonetooth, and I, as a skilled traveler and tracker, took it upon myself when I heard of the troubles going on with the Pickshine expedition to go out and see if I could be of aid and gather any intel on the missing crew. It is with a heavy heart that I report back with solid proof that I did in fact find the missing miners, and none of them survived their excursion. And I will, Scylla, would you mind removing the equipment from your bag?
Of course. And she will begin to pull out the two suits. She will pull out the diaries.
Yeah. And Hester will take the diaries and walk up and lay them across the table and then retreat with his head bowed.
And she would have handed you the receipt as well.
Oh, yes. I will lay that down with the diaries as well.
Okay. You kind of lay out all these things, most of the handhelds you put on the desks in front of these two, and the gentleman kind of like picks one up and starts reading over it while the woman comes down, and she walks up to you, Scylla, and holds out her hand to shake it, and she's like, "I'm Senny. You are? I overheard your name, but I'd like to hear from you."
I think Scylla looks at her hand for a second, and then slowly shakes it awkwardly. I am Drusilla.
Wonderful to meet you. Thank you. And then she walks over to you, Starcaller, and holds out her hand. And you are?
Artomis Starcaller, Lion of the Deep, emissary and champion of the Kingdom of Ember, resident of Dincan, and slayer of demons.
That is quite the collection of titles. And the Kingdom of Ember. That tickles something at the edges of my brain. And you see the more kind of dour male that is still sitting back up at his desk and goes, "No, dear, that is the Kingdom of Kobolds to the south, along the edge of, close to the Dark Lake and Gracklestug." She goes, "Oh, yes. No. We have heard small whisperings here and there of them. Interesting. Glad to have made contact with an envoy. And Hester, I don't think I've seen you in the city before. Are you relatively new, or?"
Yes, ma'am. I work mostly on the outskirts. Keep to myself. I have not been blessed with admittance into the city proper as of yet.
Oh, and who has not been allowing you in? No, I've been trying for weeks and weeks and weeks to try and organize true and good housing here within the city. I can't let one such as yourself go without a home.
Well, I'm truly grateful for that, madam. I don't mean to sully our first meeting speaking ill of any individuals, but if I had to bring up, Jimmy at the gate is just a hard ass.
You hear the guy at the desk just like, "God, fucking Jimmy!" And he like gets up and storms off and just like quickly moves past you guys. And he's like, Jimmy, I swear on his mama. And he moves off for a minute, and you hear him yelling to some other guards. And then he comes back and sits down, and Hoffman's Senate's like, I'm so sorry. Yes, no, we are well acquainted with Jimmy, and I'm sure my husband will have that taken care of swiftly. I'm so sorry.
I feel terrible. I feel like I've put a man's work in jeopardy now.
No, that boy had it coming. Believe me, he's had more than enough opportunities. And Senny's like, that is my husband, Dorbo. I'm sorry, he can be a bit gruff at times. We're under quite a bit of stress trying to manage the city here. But no, it seems things are unfortunately in bad order, especially for the ones lost here. And only 2 of these suits were found.
I believe the others were abandoned or destroyed at the bottom of the deep lake.
I did see them in the water, but the beings inside of them were emulsified and the suits were destroyed.
Ah. And how exactly did you all come to meet? Were you also looking for our mining expedition, Scylla?
No.
I see. So you just happened to stumble upon them.
They had a friend
Yes.
that apparently had fallen from a bridge far above the cavern I found the expedition in. They were working on a recovery mission of their own, and our goals just seemed to be aligned for that moment.
We had encountered a pack of gnolls, some might say multiple packs, which led us to a bridge housed by minotaurs who were not happy with our presence, and
Not at all.
our friend did fall, and in our search to find them, we met Hester.
Ah, yes.
It's been a week, madam.
Evidently. Gnolls and minotaurs. Oh my. And as she's kind of like puzzling over this information, you see Dorbo in the back is kind of more cynical and is kind of looking at you all. He seems to be trying to get a read on you. And he goes, Mr. Starcaller, what is your business here as an envoy of the Kingdom of Ember?
Well, the kingdom finds itself looking for mutual aid. There are many dangers here beneath the sun, and we wish to find common cause with others who fight back the darkness.
And what is this darkness that you speak of? Is this these gnolls that you've all come across?
They
Yeah.
speak of demon lords.
These gnolls are but a symptom of a greater cancer that lies beneath your feet, Your Highness.
Demon lords. Okay.
Yangzu, Zugmoy, Dagon, the Demogorgon. They all walk these halls, not too far from here.
Can you make a persuasion check?
Sure can. Hey, Will, guess what?
What?
I have expertise in that now.
Damn
Hey,
it!
let's go.
Ah, good
Yeah.
get though.
Yeah, it's good. That's 16.
Okay. He goes from very suspicious and kind of, like, yeah, okay, kid, to looking at the suits of armor, the diving suits, looking at you guys, how equipped you are, your own scars, and seems to kind of semi-reevaluate, but it seems he's still a little bit suspicious, and he goes, all right, and as a humble mining civilization, what would the Kingdom of Ember want from us?
We seek simple allyship. The The storm is coming, and we must be prepared to meet it when it does. We seek to know that you will stand when the time comes.
Well, things are stretched pretty tightly around here. I think Senny can attest to that as well. And Senny kind of begrudgingly nods her head. So, I don't think there's anything we could really do about this impending threat of these demon lords until we get some things wrapped up around here. And, perhaps a little more information on what these things are, as we're kind of beset on all sides by not enough housing. We've got troubles in the outskirts, and
Master,
the rat problem.
Dorbo, if I may be allowed to speak, I actually come to you as an emissary of my own. I work for a very fine man by the name of Chipgrin Goldwhisker. And
You work! He starts bursting out and he starts coming at you. You work for that goddamn gold! And like a whole bunch of the other guards like come forward and are like latching onto you at that moment. And he has like a dagger at your throat and he's like, where is that son of a bitch?
Scylla has a sword in his rib.
The big great sword.
I think she's not going to let anybody best her people if she sees that as being Hester.
So
I know things have been tense, and I would not come to you if I thought that we could not reach some sort of agreement. It was at Chipgrin's behest that I found your expedition, and he has information on some of the things going on here in Blingdenstone, and I truly believe that he can be helpful. I promise you, the only thing we people want to do is be helpful and live together like we did before.
As he's pointing this dagger at you, Scylla, you have the greatsword drawn and pointed at him, and all these other deep gnomes are holding on to Hester. You, all three of you, start hearing this multiple deep, resounding footsteps, and then more smaller footsteps. And you start to look around, and you see numerous of the Commonwealth people and other guards are coming forward, and they are brandishing small weapons. And then from the background, from these different tunnels, start appearing earth elementals. There's about 5 of them that just start marching forward slowly, and you see these kind of wizardly looking deep gnomes as well. And Dorbo just starts tilting his head, looking up at you, Scylla, and he goes, and what do you think you're doing pointing that at me?
I feel like as this action takes place, Artemis would have rotated so his back was against Scylla's back, and just the first wisps of shadow are coming off of the hilt, but he hasn't quite expunged the blade yet. Stand down, Scylla. We do not know who this man is or what manner of business he is involved with.
I wish to harm no one. But if you harm us...
You came into my city with this filth.
We came into your city with good faith, sir. And I know the tensions are high and we are all trying to survive, but you are not a man to spit in the face of good faith, or has everything I have come to learn about you been wrong?
This is a small step, a small drop in a big bucket for the lives that Chipgrin has taken. But he puts away his dagger and takes a step back. the others release you, and some of the others start to sheath their weapons, but everybody's very much on guard in this moment.
Starfire will look over his shoulder, over Scylla's shoulder, and then I guess also over the head of Hester. 3 days. Dagon is 3 days march from here.
Well, I don't know who or what Dagon is or what he's capable of, but we've got more problems here, and until they're taken care of, we ain't going anywhere. No alliances, no trusts. You're already on shaky ground. And he's pointing at you, Hester.
Mm-hmm.
But perhaps...
What are your troubles that are so great?
Chipgrin has information on Orgrimmar Spain.
See his eyes perk up at that.
And he thinks he knows where the oozes are coming from. The only thing he wants is the ability to talk.
He takes this deep breath and this sigh, and he looks over at Senny, and Senny was also very upset, when you mentioned Chipgrin, and Scylla had drawn this huge sword, and Artomis had kind of gone back to back, because you are the biggest creatures here besides the elementals, and the way you're armed and the powers you kind of wield, it's clear that you're dangerous. And one of Senny actually goes, well, perhaps after a few smaller things are taken care of, perhaps with your help, we can establish a little more trust and maybe talk with Chipgrin. Perhaps our most pressing issue concerning some extra defenses for the city. We could use you in helping Miss Nomi Path Shutter. We need to find an old tale, a place where we might have a chance of amassing more earth elementals. Do that first. Come to us with this completed task, and we'll talk some more. I will find you all rooms. Understand that as you enter and exit the city, you will be blindfolded until such time as we feel we can truly 100% trust you and your actions.
Artemis will look for some eye contact with Scylla and kind of like lift an eyebrow to see if she's interested in a task.
Yeah, I think Starcaller would see like a subtle nod, and then, I mean, in Scylla's mind, hell yeah, prove yourself with the trial. That's pretty typical for her. So yeah, I'm down.
Very well. We will do this. As long as you are also amenable, Stonetrooth.
As trust is built, we will hear more of these demons, and perhaps a meeting with Chipgrin. Know me, and you all turn around and you see this female deep gnome walk forward in these robes. She pulls back and she has this shaved head and these numerous intricate piercings and tattoos about her face and body, from what you can see. And she kind of bows to the three of you. And she goes, have you heard of Entomoc's boon? And that's where we'll pick up next time.